Over 26.
This is
the Burger Podcast.
This is the Brunch Club.
Over 26.
welcome back to
The mics are closed.
Now, when you watch it, you'll understand.
What up? My name is Chaxy, the mastermind, your main guy, the Lord Chaxy, the beautiful Mariah is around, the music masters around, the
What's
whole
that?
gang is around, members only, episode 14.
14.
We are my check. And it goes without saying, Ken is back.
Hey.
Which only means one thing. It's either
It's
someone is
law time.
getting sued. It's either someone is getting sued. Mariah, what did you do? For context.
kwa ile episode ingine kuna alisema alipiga mtu.
So Mariah got a demand letter this past week. But anyway, Ken is here. It means we tried reading some things. Tukasema we.
We are not that learned.
We are unlearned friends.
Educated. Yeah, very educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was 8 controversial bills that were assented to by the president on literally the day Rao passed on. And yeah, we needed help in covering these 8 bills.
Yeah.
So that we understand what existed before, what the 8 bills are, and how they change. What is it called? How they change what?
The law.
Our regulatory framework.
Regulatory framework.
Hey!
The Ricam cost pay.
Niambie jina moja Latin nirushe katikati ya episode.
Amicus Curiae.
Amicus Curiae.
What does that mean?
Guys.
That one everyone knows.
Inamaanisha nini?
Everyone knows.
No, inamaanisha nini?
It means like your learned friend.
Si Amicus alikura hiyo.
What does it mean?
Friend of the court.
Friend of the court.
Yeah, see, I think Githumuigai used it so much in
okay.
your petition in 2013. Applying to be an amicus, like a friend of the
A friend of
court.
the court. Yeah,
Okay.
enjoy it.
To be enjoyed.
And how do you say rest my case in Latin?
I honestly don't know.
Lawyers don't use such language. It arrests me.
As a matter of fact, nowadays, law encourages simple English. Plain English too.
Okay.
Okay.
So to
Okay, then change the way you write things, bro.
Yeah, hizo vitu man.
Most of our pleadings, actually, Kenya School of Law says the legal drafting course, most people are encouraged to write in plain English, kabisa, like simple English.
Layman English.
You know, lawyers
Most
are the
pleadings
reason.
nowadays are like that.
The law profession is the reason why there's global warming. Because why
Yeah.
you guys need to print 800 pages to tell me that you will pick a marangu.
Yeah, but then, why in 2025, why do we still need to print everything?
We went virtual. Siku hizi kuna CTS, the e-filing platform, where you can file anything virtually.
I like how you're saying CTS and
Like we know.
Okay, there's an e-filing platform by the judiciary where you can actually file any case without going to court. Don't even need to physically appear in court.
When did that?
Any pleading.
When was that effected?
Been there for about 4 years.
Wow.
So even the last, okay, so the last time when Baba was contesting, when Akina Jalas and everyone
Rolled up
had
with a
to
lorry.
paper. With a lorry. That was before.
I think that was before, but also pia kuna optics.
political
Or maybe that was the reason why they were like, no, e-filing. You can't rock up with a lorry again, my nigga.
Is it true that, you know, the law is very petty. Me, if I have money, alafu ni be 20 bob. Mimi naambia law, hebu print 75. Na mimi ndo
As
nazibeba
long as you
court.
pay enough, As long as you pay enough,
Damn.
those pages pia ni legal fees.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the theatrics in law? Especially
Honestly,
when you know you're going to win.
I don't think well, unajua lawyers are different. There are so many lawyers out here.
Yeah.
Kuna trial advocacy lawyers. I think kina sasa Dastan Omari. People now enjoy that.
Wewe nakuanga theater class.
Oh, yes.
Cliff and Better.
Yes. We live for those ones.
And the commercial lawyers.
That is the law I want to practice. Ingine at is your honor.
Bye.
Yeah.
We have tax lawyers. Myself, I'm a tax lawyer. I'm a commercial lawyer. Much of what I do is sit in office, draft documents. Pretty much that's what I do. I'm also like a commercial lawyer or transactional lawyer.
Hi, Snowball.
When you draft this,
Come, Snowball.
Damn.
Hey.
when you draft these documents, you open an open page alafu unaanza.
Okay, see, most pleadings, these are things that have been done over and over, like in law firms. So if you come to me with a defamation suit, most likely I have another defamation template in my law firm. I'll just edit and tweak it in line now with the circumstances. But sometimes you get those one-off cases that you have to start afresh.
Okay.
And most of the things that you see in documents, in the pleadings, ni attachments. Like ni attachments. Most ni evidence. the pleadings inakuanga roughly probably 8 to 10 pages. Mtu akienda sana 20 pages, we don't overdo.
20.
So laptop yako
20 pages
Of
we don't
begging.
overdo.
me if I have to type 20 pages me I last for 3 weeks. So laptop yako control C na V ziko rubbed. Umefinya sana.
Oh, this is a new laptop.
Hey.
This is a new laptop.
Ile ingine C na V zilikufa.
we try lakini I actually copy paste ni kidogo sana. Unajua like umezoea like if you bring me let's say like that suit the matter you're speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
To me it's a straightforward thing. I know what to do. Actually legal drafting in law school, you're taught how to draft a plaint. So you know the first paragraph is introducing the parties, the second paragraph is introducing the defendant, the third paragraph is maybe explaining the circumstances, and all like you know what to do. So to you it may sound complex, but for lawyers it's something like it
just flows.
And let me ask,
like
do lawyers have to be that
self-speaking.
dramatic? Because every statement starts with that in capital. Let it be known. That my defendant ameumia.
Whereas,
Where is it? That we are seeking nini? That.
Don't you think it makes things easier for you, like for the reader? Like, that is the audience is more so like a judicial officer, a lawyer, a lawyer that maybe is challenging an opposing counsel, or the magistrate or a judge, and reading it from rather putting it in paragraphs makes it easier than a prose form, like putting it in prose. Makes it easier for the person, now for the reader to actually.
So hizo documents is a summary. Hizo 700 pages.
Nikisema pleadings, unajua there are many types. A petition is a pleading. A petition can be an election petition, a constitutional petition, a divorce petition. Those are pleadings.
Sorry.
For other matters, it can be a plaint. A plaint, small claims court. Sometimes these applications in unaonanga certificate of urgency are pleading. So at the end of the day, it depends on the nature of the case. So when you come to a lawyer, they will know the right pleading to use, ama the right forum, ama the right court to go to.
Do you guys use ChatGPT now?
Yeah, a lot. Like
Damn.
ChatGPT, you know. Well, ChatGPT is actually used by almost everyone. I don't use ChatGPT to guide my legal reasoning, but I can give it to maybe rephrase properly what I want to bring out. So sometimes you cannot now avoid technology when technology is here.
And when it makes your work easier as well.
When it makes your work easy. As a matter of fact, now if you are drafting a pleading in maybe a day, you can maybe do it in now 3 hours. So ChatGPT has come in handy, but it's also highly discussed. Uliona kesi ya Deloitte?
No.
There's a Deloitte case where they use ChatGPT in Australia, and it's now it's like a crisis. Yeah, you can actually Google that. It's a serious case. ChatGPT, they were drafting a policy document for the Australian government. I don't remember exactly, so I don't want to misrepresent. And they used ChatGPT for the whole report. As a matter of fact, kuna ChatGPT also give citations that don't exist.
The ChatGPT is it's just like
but you know it was tested in Kenya.
how?
Apparently, some of the programmings ChatGPT, they were tested in Kenya.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By Kenyans actually.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, I remember
Kenyans are hired,
there's a section of Kenyans who felt that they were taken advantage of.
But now, for a serious lawyer or someone who's a serious, not lawyer per se, but any serious consultant using ChatGPT, it speaks into your integrity at the end of the day. So you can use it to maybe rephrase or maybe bring out better what you've already researched.
Yeah.
But if you use it to originate now your content,
Use it to enhance whatever you've done. You can do blank
Work
page.
first and then now you can enhance.
Ati Mariah alichapa mtu kofi mtete.
I like that example because that's a practical example that could happen. I see that happening.
Guys, I've reformed.
Okay, we believe you.
She's lying, Your Honor.
Anyway, so let's get into it. I'm gonna begin with the first one that affects us directly.
Yeah.
The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill 2024. So according to ChatGPT, what I like is nowadays they tell you where they've cited
The
from.
source. Okay.
Yeah. So this is from Kenyan's Post. Let us say, have you heard
In Moscow.
Kenyan's Post? Amendments expanding cybercrimes law. And then what does it say? The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill expands government powers to block or remove websites or apps linked to crime, child abuse, cults, terrorism, etc. While framed as combating fraud and cybercrime, civil society warns it could be used to suppress dissent, free expression, and activism online. So yeah, what is this bill, bro?
Okay, I'll start with these. These bills were just assented on Friday or Thursday? Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
The Constitution provides the law does not take effect upon the presidential assent. It only takes effect upon gazettement.
Okay.
So gazettement is yet to happen, but the law provides that unless the law provides that they should be gazetted within 7 days. So we should expect the proper bill that we can actually reference as now the law
This Wednesday.
this week to be gazetted, but
It has to be by tomorrow because today is Tuesday. It's gonna be 7 days.
probably today. We're gonna see the gazette.
So within 7 days can be even 2 days later, 3 days
Some
later.
bills can override that and say that this has to be gazetted on this date. But now for specific bills that don't have a gazettement period, they take effect within 7 days of gazettement. Within 7 days of assent, it has to be gazetted.
If it's not gazetted, what happens? Within 7 days?
It does not take effect. Like a law takes effect upon gazettement, not upon presidential assent.
Okay.
So the gazettement is done by the government printers. So the presidential team has to send over the document that was assented. And this has happened so many times, and I think you've seen the misrepresentations that happen. Is people rely on a draft that maybe some clauses were removed. Actually, in the Finance Act, that has happened so many times, whereby people are relying on a draft and some clauses have been removed. This thing has gone through parliamentary approval, and by the time the bill is being gazetted, people are relying on an older document that so at this point I don't want us to, we will maybe for the benefit of the audience, we'll just say that we are just relying on the drafts that are circulating online. I hope you're okay with that.
No, very, very much. I mean, because we can't make up things that
True. Yeah.
Wait, so to get this correctly, the document that everyone has access to online is a draft. That is not what the president assented to.
You see, the president assented to one copy, and that is the copy that most likely will be sent to the government printers.
So the was it green? What color is that? The one that has been online, that is not the one that the president assented to. We don't know.
We don't know. This, until it is gazetted, until it is gazetted, we have to rely on the drafts, the green copy now.
The green copy, yeah. So that's a draft.
Yeah, that's a draft.
Okay, so just before we get into it, what do you think happens now? Because clearly, if say, unfortunately, the former prime minister didn't pass on the same day, Wednesday, you know, like in the past few days,
Would have been
online would have
something
been,
else.
you know, I'm sure maybe today guys would have been, I see you following. Lawyers with phones. So I know for sure would have been headed towards another protest. Clearly, from the way things look, even today online, guys now are back fully reading the whatever that that bill is, and it's not far from another protest. So, do you think before gazettement they'll take out certain clauses?
Not at all. After you see the clauses are taken,
During
the president cannot take out a clause. The president will just recommend a bill to go back to parliament.
Okay.
And those clauses, he has done that with previous legislations. But as at now, the bill that was assented to is the same now bill that will be published as an act of parliament.
So let me get this straight. So the bill can be edited after being assented.
No, it can be sent back to parliament. The lawmakers are the ones
with
who make
recommendations.
With recommendations.
Okay.
So the president can refuse to assent to a bill, send it back to parliament with amendments, proposals that is, and if they comply, they bring it back to the president to assent.
Okay.
So now the president
Assigned.
assenting, meaning that he didn't make any changes.
Yeah, he didn't make any
So
change.
he's okay with it.
He's
The
okay
way
with
it
it
is.
as
So
it
now
is.
it goes.
Okay. So let's look at the green document, the draft as well. So yeah, we begin with that one, Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Bill of 2024, which came into effect during that period when censorship started becoming a discussion in government.
Yeah.
Came into effect or the discussion started around
The discussion started. Sorry.
There's a Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. I don't remember the exact year. Maybe you can check that.
Yeah, I'll check it for you. Just continue.
So this is more so like an amendment bill to amend some clauses or some sections in the original act and maybe introduce new sections. Actually,
2018.
Computer misuse, and actually these I think I've written about this specific act, and when you look at now from a constitutional perspective, there are usually two rights at play. That is the freedom of expression, which is almost actually, to me, it's like one of the most sacred rights that a citizen can have. And also now we have the public interest, because at the end of the day, things like terrorism, things like child pornography, and some maybe even things like incite hate speech, and those that, like, they need to be regulated by the the right lawmakers. So there is an interplay between two competing rights, actually two competing very serious rights, because the government has a right to protect its citizens from so many things that you see. We have a social contract between ourselves and the government. The government will pass laws and will actually implement those laws that protect us from so many things, and even protect our children and so many other things. At the same time, there's freedom of expression, which is also an equally sacred right. And I think in America, the jurisprudence around now, the First Amendment right, freedom of expression is so serious that you cannot even bring civil suits when you have been defamed in some specific matters like political speech and whatnot. So I have an issue with the original act, not the original act, now the 2018 act.
2018 one, yeah.
And let me even give more context. You see, something called criminal defamation. There's a time the High Court ruled that criminal defamation is unconstitutional. And what that means is, if before now that High Court ruling, someone went to court and challenged the constitutionality of criminal defamation. Before that High Court ruling, if I defamed you, I had two remedies in court. I would pursue a criminal case against you, and I would equally pursue a civil case against you. But in the advent of the 2010 Constitution, I think specifically Article 24, it says that if you are seeking a remedy to a right, and that remedy is available through other means rather than less punitive means, the right approach is to actually pursue those less punitive means. And that was the reason the High Court actually ruled that you can, since there is a civil remedy in criminal defamation, since there is a civil remedy in defamation, therefore, criminal remedy in defamation is unconstitutional. You see? And that's why I'm saying there is an interplay, because you cannot now, for example, now, assuming now I'm here and I say fuck Ruto, many people probably have a reason to say that, you see, and the moment you say that, the threshold now to actually determine if at all these now qualifies as this qualifies as not even as defamation, as maybe inciting hate speech, or maybe refusing to respect the presidency. You see, the threshold is left now to the police to misuse it. So when you look at what the drafters of the law said, because this amendment is actually very small. From now, the green copy, it's actually, it has very few sections, and when you look at it, there's some sort of justification. There's actually a memoranda. When you look, actually, what people don't know, any bill, there is a memoranda explaining the justification or the rationale behind each and every clause, and every clause in a proposed bill. When you look at the memoranda, the things that they are bringing about are actually serious. For example, someone is actually doing child pornography in a website. Do you want it to continue until now the court rules on whether these people are guilty or not, or the police should have the right to shut it down immediately? So there are competing rights. And what now we can actually expect is now, because you see, this is more so like the substantive law, and we expect now proper jurisprudence to form around it when we have matters in court now. You see, but for me, I honestly, I don't see, because I've looked at the clauses, I see the justification as to why the drafters of that specific bill. I'm actually usually very critical, but for this, I'll confidently say, when you look at that bill closely, there are some evils that they seek to curb, or there are some specific evils in the society that giving that power would actually help in maybe advancing public interest.
So
things like terrorism, things. Okay, go on.
No, it's okay. Let's finish first.
Okay, things like terrorism, things like child pornography, things like hate speech. Now the proper hate speech. You see, all those things, they need to be regulated even before now they end up now messing up or the national security. It's arguable. But now there are two ends to that. But from where I sit, I have a problem with the original act because it seeks to criminalize things that no, it does not seek to criminalize. It actually criminalizes actions that can be remedied through other means rather than criminal cases, rather than prosecution.
And just for clarity, in civil suits, you can't be sent to jail.
No,
I think
no,
let's differentiate a civil suit under criminal suit. So what falls
criminal
under what?
cases, the people say they carry penal sanction. So when you have a criminal case against you, it's always the state against now Chaxy. You see, there is no private parties. It's the state, state against now the accused person, and maybe the consequence, if you're found guilty, is you either get a fine or a jail sentence for criminal cases, or both.
Yeah.
So even traffic cases, they border criminal offenses because it's usually the state against now that particular. You see, but now civil cases, it's myself against you. Those are private citizens. So you
So anytime it's someone against someone, that's a civil case.
that's a civil case.
And then when it's the government and someone else, then that becomes a civil.
That's a criminal case.
No, criminal, sorry.
So is there an instance where person X against person Y would end up in jail time?
Not at all, unless you commit perjury in court, or you are found to have committed an offense during the proceedings, and at that time, the prosecutor, the ODPP, will take up the matter. So at the end of the day, the person who's always... So when you look at criminal cases, it's Republic versus Mwass. Republic versus Chaxy. When you look at civil cases,
Ni mtoto mzuri mimi. I've reformed.
civil cases is Mariah versus Chaxy.
But now it can move from Mariah versus Chaxy, then Chaxy lies in court, then it's now the state versus
the
Chaxy.
decision to charge, when you look at the constitution, I think it's Article 157, number 156, one of them,
It's 157.
Hey,
It doesn't.
Only
Actually, it should be 157.
But it goes against it. What does it say, Mas?
So the ODPP, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, it's like established through that article. And what it says is the person who has a decision to charge is usually the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. So anytime a Director of Public Prosecution is prosecuting a matter against a private citizen, now against a citizen, it's called a criminal case. It's now a criminal suit. So, and there's no other person who can charge you for a criminal case apart from the ODPP. And
Basically
if a private, kuna kitu inaitangwa private prosecution. So private prosecution, I think you saw wakati now during Uhuru's term, wakati Itumbi wanted to prosecute Matiang'i for ile land fraud. You see, at that point you have to make an application for, and you raise reasons that, as a matter of fact, police have been unable to privately prosecute, to actually prosecute this matter. The police have been uncooperative. The Director of Public Prosecutions has refused, and the court now will allow you to proceed now with private prosecution. But the power to actually prosecute anyone in Kenya is usually vested in the Office of the Director of Public.
So is there at any point where a civil suit could turn into a criminal suit? Like, I'm suing Mariah. Is there any instance where that could change?
Let me give a scenario.
Now Mariah versus the government. Mimi munitoa kwa usiku.
Like the government versus Mariah.
Let's say you assault Mariah.
oh, lovely. Yeah. Let's say you are
Let's make it more interesting. Mariah assaults you.
And that's more believable.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay.
Mariah assaults you, right? At that point, there's a civil case. Mariah, you can pursue a civil case against Mariah. That is technically trespass to body. You see? And you can
Kitu
actually...
kama hiyo. Eh.
Si umesema simple English.
Okay, that's simple.
Alinipiga ngumi.
Yeah, trespass to body sounds heavy.
It's a civil case. Kwa sababu assuming she suffered injuries and she wants damages for the emotional trauma, all those things.
Gravity
She can
damages.
pursue it. No. But at the end of the day, the state has a responsibility of protecting Mariah from assault from any citizens. And that's...
Even if she's done beating people.
And if she's assaulted, you can go now as a complainant to the police and report.
Okay.
Police will conduct investigations, hand over that file to the ODPP, and then ODPP will prosecute the matter.
Interesting.
So is this still one case? Now that's
Those are two separate matters.
Okay.
There's no way you can pursue a criminal case and get paid.
So you only get paid with jail time and fines.
No, assuming now you have been assaulted, now when you report to police, upon reporting to the police, assuming that person is arrested and prosecuted and actually convicted, you won't get paid.
Your payment is justice. That's what
Your
you
payment
want.
is justice.
Payment is them behind bars.
But now if you want to now get paid, you have to pursue a
civil
separate
case.
civil case against Mariah. Now at that point you have to hire a lawyer, write those demand letters.
Bruh. So everyone in committee, those are all criminal cases.
Yeah.
Those are,
And at no point could the government say jail or a fine.
But even the fine goes to the government.
the fine goes to the
I know,
government.
but there's no. So those guys in committee, none of them has an option of a fine. Or
No, the fine is there, but it goes to the government. It's just that you cannot pay the person who probably aggressed.
Yeah, I get that. So that's what I'm saying. So most of those guys don't have the option of 10 years in committee or 20 million
So you saw what happened to Babu Owino case
with the jail.
DJ Evolve.
What happened there?
That was a criminal case. As I said earlier, you have a right to, the state has a right to protect you.
Okay.
So, and the first witness in a criminal case is usually the complainant.
Yeah.
The complainant is usually the victim. The victim of that specific offense that has been allegedly committed. So, there's a Victims Protection Act that now allows even victims to negotiate with the accused person to settle the matter out of court.
Okay.
You see, and at that point now, myself as an accused, as a victim, assuming you assaulted me, we can have an agreement with you. You pay me for maybe the injuries that I suffered, this amount, and then after making the payment, I personally will exercise the discretion of pulling out, because if I don't testify in court, the prosecution's case is as weak.
Yeah.
So the complainant usually has some powers in that in criminal cases, but at the end of the day, that those cases are driven by the prosecution. The complainant is usually the witness, but there are some instances now where the complainant has died. Not the victim has died. For example, now it's a murder case. See, the victim has died, and the complainants probably are the parents of.
Yeah.
You see, and there's a lot of jurisprudence. I'll just use that word into now the capacity of a victim who's not a complainant who's not a victim. Negotiating with the accused person. And it has happened. There's a case where someone, I think in Isiolo, killed a small girl, I think an 9-year-old girl, and negotiated with the family na akalipa na camels. So those things happen. So
And that's allowed in
it's
the...
called, I think, Mohammed Abdo. It's a very strange case.
So lipa camels ngapi?
I honestly don't know, but they negotiated with the community.
Zikuwe enough for the death of your own daughter.
Honestly, I don't know.
And that's allowed in our constitution currently.
It's not allowed, but who are they? You see, I'm speaking about now the power of a complainant in a case.
Got you.
Okay.
So, because if I refuse to testify, the accused person will walk free.
Yeah.
So, most of the time, the prosecution has a very tough call to maybe decide when to charge and when to enter in some sort of a plea bargain with the complainants. And that's what happens most of the time.
So what happened in the Babu Owino case?
Babu Owino, it was a plea bargain. So technically, Babu Owino said that from now, the writings, because I'm not privy to the agreement, but from now, exercising my own judgment, what happened is that he went to the complainant, who's DJ Evolve, is very much alive, Babu Owino, I think he should be thanking God wherever he is, because if DJ Evolve would have died,
been
Babu
something
Owino,
else.
That's a different case.
That's a whole different case.
So it would have moved from civil to criminal.
No, it would have moved
Still
from,
criminal.
to move from maybe aggravated assault
to
murder.
You see, and at that point there would be very little room for a plea bargain because the victim is dead. But since DJ Evolve was alive and very much conscious to actually forgive his aggressor, Babu Owino probably promised a lot of monetary support and compensation, and he showed remorse. And the accused person, the complainant now, DJ Evolve decided to forgive him. And the plea bargain is a document where you are not accepting any liability. You're just saying that, okay, you actually accept liability, but you don't get sentenced or convicted for it. You say that we have had an agreement with the and you take that plea bargain document to the prosecution, and the prosecution adopts it in the court, and the court will actually adopt that agreement, set more so like a settlement agreement.
So it's more of like an out of court.
ADR,
settlement.
it's more so like an alternative dispute resolution.
Okay. Which I'm sure the government encourages in civil, so that save time.
maneno mingi,
cases, you know.
Actually,
So-
in most cases they don't see, especially when the adverse parties are equally tired with court processes. The agreements are usually very many. I can sue you today. Tomorrow you come to my office. I tell you, then let's just have an agreement, and then you go to court and have this agreement adopted as an order of the court. And the
And
court
then that's it. Then the case is over.
and the case is
Are
over.
there minimums to that as well, Ama?
Yeah, unless now you don't, maybe now uphold the end of the agreement, then I can go back to court, right? And say we agreed on X, Y, Z, and
But if we have
not
an
been followed.
agreement and you don't follow through it,
Yeah.
and it was adopted as an order of the court, my next course of action would be now enforcing that agreement.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, because when you're sentenced to, let's say, a crime in a minimum of this years. So if we settle out of court, is there a minimum that you should pay me this or do this, or even forgiveness just counts?
So when an accused, there are some various, now it's entirely on the discretion of the prosecution. To sometimes you can even decide to be a witness for the prosecution in favor of a lesser sentence. It happens. So let's say
In your own case?
In my own case, myself, Chaxy, and Mariah, we decide, okay, let's just go and rob a bank somewhere. And after
that
robbing,
sounds like something I would do.
we do that, and I'm caught, and I decide, you know what, I don't want to go to jail, so I'll just sell these people out in favor of a plea bargain. So I'll just admit liability, or admit culpability, and in favor of
And then testify against them.
and then testify against you. And probably my sentence, if you're sentenced to
It's
20 years, I'll
shortened.
be sentenced to 5 years.
Yeah.
Hey, you won't find me. Because now I'll just be an Olalo in Mogadishu. I'll bleach, get a bit of a BBL,
Ukate dredi. Ndo uve hijab.
na never hijab.
It happens. It happens, but
Na nijifundishe kuongea na mapua, I'll be fine. By the time unanipata,
Bahala yake.
bahali yake. Anyway, so take you back to again this computer misuse. I think what I've seen most people say online, and I tried. This is the one I genuinely read. I read it. I understood whatever I understood, and then I called you for the rest. So most people are saying we see the positive things that have been suggested, like terrorism, child porn, for sure. But there's also these other things that limit our expression that have been added to the bill.
Yeah.
which specific things that limit our expression?
So I think what I've seen online is people are saying that now they can be sued for having an opinion. Like for instance, if I went online now and tweeted something about the president, then now they can sue me for that.
I've gone through this
pull.
the green bill.
Let me pull exact sentiments.
The one that was uploaded in the Parliament website. That is the Parliament website. That's the bill that I've been referencing. And honestly, I would say the previous bill is more aggressive.
worse.
It's not the previous, the same bill. You see, when you have a
The revised.
computer,
This is just an amendment.
this is not an amendment, and I would say the act as it is now is actually very aggressive, and someone needs to challenge its unconstitutionality. But at the same time, these amendments, they don't. I feel like these amendments are somehow subtle compared to what is actually in the act. From now, my own opinion, and I don't want to be crucified for saying that.
But I don't know. I feel like the biggest fear with this amendment is, especially the bit where they say shutting down sites where they feel like is infringing, like, you know.
But what are they specifically saying that they will be shutting down? You see, they've given
Websites and apps. So think about it. If it's, like I said, this is me just thinking as an outsider. Laws, like, for example, that amendment, think about it. Apps like Twitter, and this is apps where people, you know, get to speak their minds, say however they feel. If this, like, for example, let's use Sayamandamano. When you guys are talking about Ruto must go, to some extent, of course, if you look at it as a president, that could be incitement to some extent. So if this is an app where you feel like is pushing for incitement, it's easy for you to gather your people and shut down the app.
So let me just read the proper clause. Section 6 of the Principal Act is amended in subsection 1 by inserting the following new paragraphs immediately after paragraph J. So they introduce a new paragraph, which is paragraph JA.
Anything.
Which
I just know
says,
something has been added.
This is now the addition. Where it is proved that a website or application promotes illegal activities, proved. See? A website promotes illegal activities, child pornography, terrorism, extreme religious and cultic practices, issue a directive to render the website or application inaccessible. You see, what from now my understanding,
that I
from a
support
reading
that.
of how it says, tuliona what happened in Shakahola. You see, now that's why I'm speaking about public interest. We have seen right now child pornography and so many other things. And I sort of...
Where have you seen that?
No, child pornography, bro, will happen even in Kenya. Children are kidnapped. Actually, there are politicians who are alleged to be running
Child pornography
You should
rings,
give me those first.
Yeah,
I saw the BBC expose on in my Mahiu.
It's sad.
Yeah.
So when those things are happening, do you really want for these people to actually nip it in the bud, or you want them to follow the whole process in court?
This one I completely
This one is
support. That one
perfect, but we all know how politics works.
Yeah.
Flipping it for your own
Let's go
gain.
through it then. This one we support 100%.
So
How to prevent before your website to comment live if they can.
when you're reading an amendment act, you have to read it in line with the original act. And let me just quickly Google.
Okay.
And get the original act. We do like
Line by line
comparison, because that would actually...
Because as you get that, Money Academy on the computer misuse. So wanasema the bill allows the government to block or remove websites and apps that promote crime, terrorism, child abuse, and cult activities, which we just read. Still on the bill, the bill adds things like using phone calls for scams, SIM swap fraud, and fake online investments as support. Also, anyone who sends messages that cause fear, violence, or serious offense can be fined up to 20 million or jailed up to 10 years. How do you define a message that can cause fear or violence?
So basically, kusalimiana.
And that's why I actually...
You know what I mean? Because now this is the main bit where, and then it's 20 million or jail of up to 10 years. For sending a message.
You're basically gagging
Kujaguza
people.
mtu, you've not done anything. Umesend two message.
Yeah.
Like it's victimless. And also a message that can cause fear or violence. So how do you define that this message can cause fear and this one cannot? And how do you define that this message can lead to violence and this one cannot?
And that's why I said, as in the start of this discussion, I said we have two competing rights, public interest, national security, which are actually very tantamount.
Those ones are the first two. Terrorism,
against now
Absolutely.
things like freedom of expression. And I said there's actually a potential for a lot of abuse in these specific laws, the way they are worded. For example, such an amendment is very ambiguous. A message that causes fear.
Yeah,
See,
bro.
and this
Umeogopa sasa mimi nifanye
this
nini?
will leave it.
Ulipe state 20 million.
This leaves it to the discretion of the police to actually decide that this message caused fear. You get it? And
So that
point,
means now again you start seeing more abductions.
Thank you.
You start seeing a lot of people getting arrested for no reason. Let your
Shutting
message
down of
cause fear.
apps.
Yeah.
Because also, think about it.
Yeah.
The government, even if say a lot of these cases went to court, say now it's not abductions where people disappear and then you don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's a genuine arrest, they introduce themselves, who they are, arrest you for whatever they take you in. Even if you go through the whole court process and then you're discharged by the court, if they arrest 20 people, already what they're literally just doing is that as much as they know the court will set all of them free, is that they're just frustrating people
And instilling fear to
and
some
instilling
extent.
fear.
Yeah.
Now, what should we really question in such? Because I want to actually pose a question.
Yeah.
With such a law, do we now? No, we have to look it now from a larger scope rather than the law itself.
Okay.
Because we can have a law that its intent was actually to do this. You get it? But now the implementation of that specific law is actually now to the regulatory authorities, the police, and maybe some other people who have a potential for abuse, in line now with political
Interests.
interests.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying we may actually have these properly defined now through the courts, rather than through the drafters of this specific act. We can now have maybe cases where now there's proper jurisprudence as what actually qualifies us as a message that causes fear.
But now my question would be, Ken, we literally went through the first edition. It was super clear. Like there was no room for, nothing was ambiguous. It was super clear and direct. Then now the third one, I don't know,
Sending
the third
messages
one
of fear.
suddenly is the one that is ambiguous, and clearly people can see that this is
There's-
definitely going to be used to instill fear, but also to sort of just limit freedom of expression.
altogether.
Because what is that? Why? So the guys who drafted were very clear on everything else, and but this specific one.
Well, arguably so. I agree with you entirely. I just want to go to the original act.
Okay.
That is now not the amendment.
Okay.
I want to read section 22 of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act.
Okay.
It says, a person who intentionally publishes false, misleading, and fictitious data or informs with the intent that the data will be considered and act upon as authentic with or without any financial gain, commits an offense and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 5 million or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or both. That's actually in the original act. You see? And they go on to...
Wait, so someone who publishes...
Yeah, intentionally publishes false and misleading fictitious data.
With or without financial gain.
And then publication of false information is actually on section 23. You see, what I'm trying to say, in as much as our rage is on this new amendment, we need a proper look at the original act.
Yeah.
That's where the monsters are. You get it from actually, and this I'm saying this because I've actually written about it. I've dissected this, and the reason I even told you about, have I said about competing rights?
Yeah.
Not competing rights. Article 24 of that is our constitution, the one that now made criminal defamation unconstitutional. Because if I publish false information about you, your remedy should be civil damages.
Yeah.
You get it should be civil damages, not now criminal litigation. You see, and there's actually jurisprudence on that, and there's a Supreme Court case on that. You see, that's what I'm saying. We may need to. I don't assuming now, because I feel like now, in light of now the public outcry and whatnot, once the bill is published, is gazetted now, we may need now lawyers looking at these two laws, the Amendment Act and the original act, and actually filing a constitutional petition challenging specific sections in that act. You see, rather than a uniform rage against an act that has some good components.
So my question would be, when this amendment comes in effect, right? Is it an addition to what already existed, or now this is what we adopt and do away with
it's
the
an
older one.
addition to what exists.
So everything else you read there
Still works.
works.
But now this is an
now
addition.
they've added this
They have
more.
added this.
Bro, they should have just added the terrorism thing, and then this other one, the last one is quite it's quite ambiguous, and I think that's where everyone has an issue with because it's not defined and it's not clear, and a lot of guys are looking at this as just an intimidation tactic.
Yeah, it is.
And just the government trying to dissent on whoever has an opinion on the wrongdoings that the government has.
And in the instance that you're pointed out as an accused, who bears the burden of proof? Is it the government?
government.
It's the
So
government.
in criminal cases, the burden of proof is on the prosecution all the time, beyond reasonable doubt.
Beyond reasonable doubt.
So, but unaona kama hapa sasa,
Yeah.
Section 30 of the Principal Act is amended by inserting the words or makes a call immediately after the words sends a message. You see, it was actually there sends a message. Chenye wameweka ni making a call. Now, if we go to Section 30 of the Principal Act, right? Chronologically, chronologically we go to the Section 30. The Section 30 of the Act, ndio hii hapa. It says, phishing. A person who creates or operates a website or sends a message through the computer system with the intention to induce the use of a website or recipient of the message to disclose personal information for an unlawful person to gain unauthorized access to a computer system commits an offense. Unajua ile phishing?
Yeah.
So I may add now, if you make a call or send a message. You get it? That's how they are doing, they are making the amendments. Ingine ni by inserting the words or call. You see? So what they are doing, the message ilikuwa. But now they're introducing also if you make a call. Unaona? So as a matter of fact, this amendment bill is very short. It can only 5 sections. 6. Hii ingine ni memorandum. You see? Hii ni 6 sections amending a bill that has over 80 sections.
Yeah. Which is fine, even if it's one section.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it's like you said, maybe we wait for the gazettement and then we see what's going to be in the gazettement. But the idea of if I send you a message that could cause fear,
Yeah, that doesn't.
what the fuck is that
And that
supposed to
also
mean?
includes personal phone calls. Like I could be on phone frustrated about something with my friend, and I say, F Ruto. Then now I can be.
And I'm actually curious, how are they going to prove that you made a call?
The call is fine. What if it's a tweet?
Oh, tweet is
That's it,
actually...
yeah.
Yeah, it's because in the amendment they've included a phone call. Ama?
Yeah, they
said a
have.
call too,
But
yeah.
I'm saying now those are fine. Maybe now they have to prove there's a message or if it's an actual I don't know. But now public social media platforms. So I go on X now and I have 10 reasons why I hate Ruto.
Ruto should be fucked.
Number 7 will surprise you the most. So if I do that, so now they can come for me. When that is just my
Your
opinion.
Yeah,
Like when my bill, I think the Bill of Rights and Freedom of Expression, when we look at the freedom of expression, I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And if Ruto has a problem with my opinion, then Ruto can respond to my opinion, not send me to committee.
You. Yeah, and I thought he should actually sue you for maybe because now that's a private matter.
If he feels I've defamed him, then he can sue me, which is fine. Okay, can we collectively sue Ruto?
Yeah.
Can the
Is
president
it
be sued?
possible?
Yeah, it's actually possible to.
When he's still in office?
After in office, I don't think they
He's
can be
above the law.
sued. But once they exit office,
Yeah, you can
actually sue.
No, once, yes.
That aboveness of the law, does it have a caveat? Like even if he's on camera shooting and killing someone?
No.
You wait
there
for
are
the
instances
Saji.
when-
Yeah.
You know, law is
Sure,
also like a distillation of common sense.
Yeah.
So for example, now fraud when in office, unajua those things can come to haunt later, and Ruto can go to jail.
Yeah.
You see, so they are not like entirely immune. They are just
okay.
immune for
In this
the actions
period.
that they did in their capacity of their office.
Okay, got you.
Wait. And they'd be immune for the actions they did in office while they're in office, not after.
Not after, while in office.
So now if we wanted to go after
Uhuru, we could.
for the murders of, if we can
You can.
prove
You
those
can.
murders,
You can. See, Levi Munyeri had sued, you know Levi Munyeri?
No.
Levi Munyeri, the lawyer who said the margin, the intellectual margin between myself and the people of Mikroini was too wide to enable a meeting of the of the mines.
I remember seeing that statement. Maybe the next-
I don't remember
I
that.
can tell you, there is no, like, Munyeri is a good lawyer. Munyeri is one of the best public interest litigation lawyers that you have
anafaa
around here.
kufungua like a this website. I
He
want
sued
to
the
tell somebody.
president. He sued the president for setting up a church in State House.
Oh, recently.
Recently.
And how is that going?
I honestly don't know unless I catch up with him.
I
but
just want to
I
read
saw
the
that matter and I was
documents in
like,
that language of
you know
his.
what, my guy.
But now, in realistic sense, in Kenya, that is a case that will just... they'll just
It's
keep
never
pushing
gonna
it
go
forward.
nowhere. Yeah.
For as long as he's in office.
Yeah. Now, that's another problem, and maybe you've been seeing people like Harvey speaking about it, and actually now these senior counsels. In as much as we speak about justice, the way we are speaking about it, now qua ground now things, the judiciary and things are like very bad. Actually, to get orders is even crazy. Like people demand money for orders, and I think we need a very serious overhaul in our judiciary, because most of the time it's like the end. It's like now where people go to seek remedies, you see. And when such an institution is irredeemably corrupt as it is now, it's a total mess.
And would that be mainly because of political interest?
Not at all. I think it's private interests. Everyone loves money, and since we don't have proper structures that ensure people don't benefit from such, we have a lot
just
of judges.
continues to happen.
Now, when you're suing like the government for something like that, or maybe a former president, is it self-funded, Ama? Like, let's say there is rights, the human rights. They're called what? The human rights commission. No. The human rights organizations.
Yeah.
Can they sue the government through an individual?
Yeah, they actually hire lawyers to do it. They actually...
Because I'm assuming it's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but if you want to also have a legacy, because at the end of the day, I say, for us lawyers now, at the end of the day, we want to make money, but we also want to leave a purpose in our practice. So sometimes we may be tempted to take up public interest litigation, a matter or two in a year, to make actually the Kenya better. So that's why you see sometimes lawyers take matters privately. Not even lawyers, like, you know, a person like Okiya Omtata has been doing public interest litigation for the longest time.
Yeah.
You sometimes get paid for it, sometimes you do it in your own volition. So it really... At the end of the day,
I'm also curious to so, because I know Omtata and Maraga had a press statement regarding to these 8 bills today. Has it happened? Please just a check. Omtata and Maraga had a press statement regarding these 8 bills. I'd be curious to know what they say. So is that all on the computer misuse for now?
Well, for now, but now that I've been appeared in this podcast and I seriously don't want to be misquoted, what I'll do is I'll do a write-up. Once the bill is gazetted, I'll do a proper write-up on what I think about the various amendments. There are just 6, so it will just be a one or two page.
Okay. So I think for us it's literally just how ambiguous that
statement is.
And I think most guys highlighted that in fear of and I don't know if it's true. Did you guys see a screenshot of there's someone on X who was stating that he got a demand letter. No, like X sent them an email saying that the government had asked them to close their account or something. Because you know Elon Musk doesn't do that.
Really?
Yeah. You guys didn't see the screenshot?
Sounds fabricated.
It could be false. I don't know.
What I'll probably say as we close now on this act is the real monster lies in the old act, the original act, not these. And if at all we want to actually challenge it, we should not do it in isolation. There are so many clauses in the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, not the Amendment Act, that need to be
the
looked
original
at.
one. In the original one, were there things that were redacted?
I think there is a constitutional petition going on in relation to some of these clauses. I will equally check on that. If
because I know there's additions, the additions of whatever.
Yeah, actually, you know, a clause can be deleted by the court. A court can actually say, you know, this specific section is unconstitutional and it no longer applies. Like you can go to court challenging a specific section of an act. And I think some fellas have done it in relation to this 2018 act.
Is that something you do on an individual level?
Yeah, it's just, see, anyone, including Chaxy, that fellow over there, anyone can actually go to court
and challenge
and file a constitutional petition to challenge the unconstitutionality of an action an act of parliament or even anything to ukitaka tu hata kesho ukitaka kuingia court.
Okay. Forgive, and this might be a stupid question. In case I challenge the court and I win, do I get reimbursed for?
No, you don't get reimbursed. Like you don't get paid
Hire lawyer.
for sindo nasema public interest
So
litigation.
you just have to love your country.
Yeah, if you really love your country.
So Okia just uses his own money.
No, but he gets paid sometimes from now those
But you can have
organizations.
the
NGOs and whatnot.
institutions and whatever.
Sometimes even, let me just even give a scenario. Labor communities, these organizations, these communities, who want to lobby for maybe the removal of a specific clause can actually pay
you to do the work.
to actually do it on their behalf. So sometimes they don't even want their name appearing, but they see that probably this thing affects their business. I'll give you, I don't want to speak about tax because this was entirely different, but there's something called the VAT special table. Have you interacted with, okay, so what happens is that KRA, not through any act of parliament, they just introduced a set up a circular saying that KRA can close your PIN, not your PIN, that specific tax obligation VAT, if at all they see you doing some specific, maybe fraudulent things with your PIN, with your VAT. There's a lot of VAT fraud, and they can close it. And the implication is that when you read it, you can see the nobility around it. But the implication of misusing that specific clause is actually very big. And communities, auditors, business communities, they have lobbied, and some fellas now are in High Court challenging that specific declaration by KRA. And you see, you get paid, but not legal fees. You just reimbursed maybe, or getting paid to have your name there.
Yeah. Which is like, okay, which makes sense. So for instance, if there was something that is affecting podcasters, if we came together and said, Ken, how much would it cost if you went to represent this issue for us, and then we raise the money ourselves, we give you the money, then you sort
I do it on your behalf. Yeah.
Interesting.
Hata tobacco, I think tobacco fellas had gone to court. Unajua Duale.
Tobacco fellas.
Those people when you know the vapes, masigara. Duale stood up one day in court. No, in a declaration, happy, and he said that from today, anyone who has an import license ya tobacco, anafaa kufanya fresh application. And that had a direct implication on businesses. And they looked for people who are interested in that area, and they went to court to file a constitutional petition, because that's a roadside declaration. When you want to actually pass the law, there are processes to actually do it. So the excesses...
He was saying it in what capacity? He was already in government.
No, Duale is the Minister of Health. Because your cancer na nini caused by tobacco products.
So because I'm the minister law, namuka tu change the law.
He wasn't speaking
Minister
as
of
Duale,
Roads.
he was speaking as on behalf of the government.
Or maybe even personal interest.
But when you speak in that capacity of a cabinet secretary to make that declaration, the implication that it has on businesses is crazy.
And especially if you just made it by the road. Wait, so he holds so much power that he can say something like that verbally, and then that becomes
law. It's crazy.
You see, Kenya has no shortage of fools,
I like how lawyers just subtly.
Kenya has no shortage of fools. That's crazy.
A minister can literally say something verbally. Mahali tu akipiga campaign zake, because
but think about it.
They have a
politician. That day outside the police station, what did he say?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So you can say that verbally and is implemented.
Yeah, and or in as much as it may not be implemented by the book, the bottlenecks that you will face if you're in that business, because the CS said it. There's a person who works in that industry who is supposed to clear your import.
Oh my God.
Who will rely on that declaration and not what is by the law. That's why I said we have no shortage of fools, because a reasonable person should actually disregard what you get it and actually do it by the law. But now, what you are supposed to do now, assuming someone makes that declaratory, that declaration, a roadside declaration, you go to court and seek a conservatory order. So such to actually have direction on that specific issue. Because if you don't do that, your business will suffer. And by the time you go to court and get these remedies, it's already...
you've lost so much.
Just to put it into perspective, naweza kuwa tu na container yangu ya vapes, alafu Duale ongea then sasa
ikiwa inakuja ikiwa kwa barabara alafu sasa uko na all documents ukienda kukilia huyo mtu hapo customs akwambia aje Duale alisema you need to apply afresh. I don't know that person anaogopa kupoteza job
anaweza kuwa na interest zake za ama tuongee kando
and it happens so
I see.
Anyway, maybe I'm moving.
Ni baby.
So yeah. Anyway, so then we look at the second one was the National Land Commission. I think this one, a lot of guys were saying this is
the
main one that we should be paying the most attention to. So National Land Commission Amendment Bill of 2023, which was amending the law governing the National Land Commission.
What does it state? What does the initial one state?
So the land bills and the wildlife amendment raise questions about who controls land resources, who benefits, and whether historic. So this is just a summary of, and whether historic injustices are being addressed or overshadowed. For instance, local communities fear exclusion from decision-making under the new wildlife law. I think what I read earlier is that there's no oversight on a lot of, especially what you'd call public land, which means the government could do whatever they want to do, and we lack oversight. Also, what I saw most other people claim is that the government could have power to check on your ancestral land. If they decide. Like the government can come to you and decide that
barabara inafaa kupita hapa.
Ama toto industry waseme, okay, now the government wants to venture into industry kutengeneza Samanthas. And we feel like the factory makes more sense in your house. Land. Yeah.
I see what you did.
And this is your ancestral land.
Did you have to say Samanthas?
So I mean, it's profitable business.
I'll want to go to the constitution to actually address that.
Yeah.
And I'll start with this. The government actually can take your land in the absence of this amendment.
Any land you own?
Any land that the government wants, they can take it tomorrow.
Bruh, even where my parents are buried.
Even where your parents are buried. It is in the constitution. I think Article 42 or something.
That's fucked up.
The government can... I want to look at for the specific section.
Okay.
Even land that are just got Jana.
So,
but they pay you for it?
They pay you for it.
Okay.
See, that's the role of the National Land Commission.
Compensation.
Unaona kama wakati SGR ilikuwa inajengwa, what happened?
Yeah.
You see? It has to be a balance of interest, fair compensation.
Okay.
But let me just go to the specific section.
Aber Judas, please help. Sorry.
I'm looking for the specific section, but I remember it very well. The land has the right to take your land anytime. The government has the right to take your land any.
But is there a procedure like the?
And there's a properly laid out procedure.
Okay,
they give you notice.
So now I think what guys have an issue with, it looks like that has been tampered with, and there's less oversight in. So it gives room for especially politicians and people in government
to grab
land, and then there's little oversight now. I think that's
so. The National Land Commission is responsible for, and I've actually looked at that act. That amendment is actually also a small amendment. It's not a big. I think the monster is. You said the monster is in this, but to me the monster is in the Privatization Act, because it's actually crazy. But in the land. What is it called? The National Land Commission Amendment. Number one, let's remove this misconception. The government can actually take your land anytime. And that is section 40 of Article 40 of the Constitution. And it gives conditions when the government cannot take your land. It says the state shall not deprive a person of property of any description or interest or right property of any description unless that deprivation, you see there's a proviso. So unless that depreciation results from an acquisition of land or interest in land or conversion of an interest in land or title to land in accordance with Chapter 5.
See?
So what technically what they are saying, there's a word for for conversion of private land to public land. Kuna venye inaitangwa, I just skipping my mind.
Okay.
But the government has a right to take any land. Penye wanataka wakikuja hapa waseme now there are minerals here, ama they want to build a museum here in this land, and they provide very valid reasons. You can challenge it in court with
there has to
reasons.
be reason. Okay.
With
It
reasons.
has to be reason.
Thank
You can challenge it in court, and it's actually the process is done through the National Land Commission. You see, even when now a county government wants to convert private land and buy off private land, there's a process, there's proper valuation, and you're paid even for. And there's actually a high court judgment on the process, fair enumeration. You're even paid the inconvenience phase for relocating. Okay. And if there's a building, you're paid a percentage higher than that, the value of that
Valuation.
building. Like technically, you're paid even for the inconvenience.
For the inconvenience, because moving. Imagine you've
Starting
lived
a whole new life.
You've lived somewhere for 20 years. Your whole family, your kids have been born there.
Your life has
of course,
been
it's an
based around-
inconvenience moving. But now you're telling you have to go live in
Look at
Soho.
how those fellas in SGR benefited. You see, much of the cost building SGR was not on the railway itself.
It was
Was
compensating
on
the land.
compensating the landowners, and that's why we kept asking the question: why didn't we use the original railway line?
Yeah, because that
It
existed.
It existed, and actually a lot of money is paid to those people. Unaona shamba yenye ungekuwa unauza, unauza, this land belongs to you, ulikuwa uza 2 million, you would get compensated probably 4 million or even more.
Wow.
So
And the old railway existed. But now if they use the old one, then they wouldn't steal money from
Yeah, of course,
compensating
there's
people.
no way.
So they needed to use a
Compensate
completely new land
themselves.
and compensate people land.
and compensate, and okay, there are stories around it.
Yeah, I've heard.
We know.
Because there's guys who knew way in advance that
Yeah,
this
where
project
to-
was coming, so
yeah,
they went bought
bought
a lot of
land,
land there
yeah.
and then compensated themselves highly.
So the National Land Commission Amendment Act, from my small reading, because I just poured over it, what is it saying? I just looked at the act. It's more so like trying to also cure historical injustices, not only future relocations, but also historical injustices. Probably your land was taken away from you.
Yeah.
So I would want to see the critique, because if I see the critique around that act, I'll probably respond accordingly. But to me, where I stand, I don't see.
Okay.
When something is seeking to actually seek compensation for landowners and through the National Land Commission. And I've actually had the benefit of assisting specific county government in drafting a proposal to the National Land Commission in the name has come, compulsory acquisition. So compulsory acquisition is a word that is used when the land is taking your land by force. It's compulsory
So you can't challenge
acquisition.
it,
You cannot challenge that you're being taken away from the land. Maybe the merits of the relocation. Probably questions like, why doesn't the government use another land that is actually available?
Yeah.
Actually reasonable arguments. But if this is the only land that is available,
Yeah.
for example, the expressway. Initially, Mombasa Road was meant to be, I think, 16 lane or something. But the owners of Samia, those businesses up, and those lands are valued highly. So the question was, will they be compensated fairly?
That level, yeah.
So I think from a feasibility study, they saw that an expressway would be actually cheaper than making an 8 lane. But at the end of the day, when you're speaking about compulsory acquisition, what really, really matters is, are you going to be compensated fairly for your land that is being taken away from you? But taking land, the government can take it anytime.
And are there standard rates that have been set that will pay you?
So there's usually evaluations. There's a whole process. Process compulsory acquisition takes, I think, over 20 sections in the Land Act.
Okay.
It explains what needs to happen.
Okay. So that's
You
detailed.
need to send a report to the National Land Commission, and the National Land Commission will come do a feasibility report, and you send the first. There's a lot that happens. I honestly don't remember the process, but if I was to be involved, I would do my research.
And that ideally would take how long? Give or take.
depending on the priorities. You
Yeah.
see, depending on the budget allocations, because you can also be relocated if you haven't received your money or if there is no commitment as to when you're going to receive your money. So it's not pegged on timelines. It can happen within a... Well, can I take... if you really, really want to know the process, I can take out the Land Act and just read it. I think it's around section 109 to explaining now what happens in
So basically, it just depends on how much
How much they really want it.
If they want it like now they speed
the process up. That's what they did with SGR.
Systems work.
I want to be the government. How can I be the government? So how can I be the government? Is that possible?
Just campaign.
So what position would I go for? The president.
Maybe.
Anyway, actually, you can even be a county.
Ivana, I just want to be like the government. I want to be the government.
The government has many functions.
Yeah.
So I want to be. This is the judiciary. This is the executive. And then this is
legislature. Mad.
I think the only person who was government has died.
Has honestly.
It yourself.
Honestly. Wait, but you said something about the privatization bill, and that's why you think
Yeah.
the
Let's go to
monster
that.
is what's...
So, I'll equally speak it now from an economic perspective, from a legal perspective, and maybe from so many other perspectives. The privatization bill, the Privatization Act, the original Privatization Act, and there's a lot of nobility around privatization as well, when you speak now as an economist. We want to see less and less of government involvement in service delivery. So technically, what government should do is enable service delivery than actually participate in service delivery. For a very optimal government, it should just be creating a conducive environment for businesses to happen, rather than the government being involved in business. And there are very serious arguments around it, logic around it. For example, inefficiencies. When the government is running, rather than a private person running a business, when a government is running a business, there are so many inefficiencies that cannot be, before you even cure those inefficiencies, there's a lot of bureaucracy and whatnot. You see
how parastatals are run in Kenya. You see,
and over and above that, right now, our public debt, the last time I was on this podcast, we were speaking about our public debt.
Yes.
It has since now increased. It's about 12 trillion, which is crazy. And right now, right now we're in a position where we cannot borrow more. As a matter of fact, any borrowing that has been going on since, I think, time immemorial. I think you called Jimmy Wanjigi.
Yeah.
And I actually like that podcast. Any borrowings that have been happening, over time, we could argue they are illegal to some extent. And we can also try and speak about the government need for revenue, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It has an appetite for money, and there's some even promises that even the president was making yesterday. You will do this and this and this and this, and every time when you look at the National Treasury and KRA, the budget estimates they keep on increasing. But at the same time. There's things like taxation. They want to increase taxation, but we're always at a deficit. So we can argue the government does not have enough money to even run these parastatals. And if they delegate these parastatals or these corporations, state corporations and whatnot, like KPC, Kenya Pipeline Corporation, to private citizens to actually run it, they would run it more efficiently. And they would actually get money from the sale of the shares, the sale of those to private citizens. So there's an argument pro-privatization.
Is there a country that is heavily privatized?
I think
states.
most states is actually
all the prisons in the states are owned
privatized.
by individuals.
And that's the most optimal way for a government to operate. Government inafaa kuwa sasa concentrate on creating enabling conditions for businesses to prosper.
And
Not
who
to
runs
own and run
oversight
these
now?
businesses.
Who runs oversight now? If they privatize, let's say KPLC or whatever.
See, now the individuals.
So now it's owned by whoever buys
So
it.
if you leave selling of energy or power to private citizens, I guarantee it's going to be cheaper.
Definitely, because they'll be in
Okay.
competition.
There's competition.
But now, okay, so basically,
what government should be doing, because we have a Competition Act and we have a Consumer Protection Act, is regulate a protection of citizens kusikwe na rogue practices in businesses. You get it?
Yeah.
But enabling people to do business properly should also be a priority of the government. That's why privatization is actually so important. The original Privatization Act was pretty much detailed. It needed parliament approval, cabinet approval. Actually, ilikuwa parliament ratification of a privatization. So let me just give you an example of commission. Let's say we have sought to privatize KPC. There's a department within now in the new act within the national treasury. And they have actually given the composition of that commission that will write a proposal as to why the privatization of this specific entity is beneficial for the government. And after that, okay, let's circle back to Adani. You see the Adani deal? That was privatization that was happening illegally.
bro, so even the airports in the States are owned by individuals.
I honestly don't know, but you could check. You could check, and but the logic behind privatization, because even national parks, assuming you see there's a national park and there's some land in a national park, rather than telling now the Kenya Forest Service and Kenya Wildlife Service to run that national park, you can lease it for like 30 years to a private individual to build a hotel. You get it? So you are able to provide these services to citizens who want it. And at the same time, you don't spend any money because these people will recoup the investments from the charges that they charge.
Then they pay taxes.
They pay taxes.
Okay.
So privatization is an alternative, is actually an alternative financing mechanism to taxes.
Yeah, the airports, most of them are owned publicly by the government.
Oh,
So if I was a tycoon in Kenya, I could own Kenya National Park, Nairobi National Park.
Now,
JKIA.
there's also a danger in over privatizing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's also a danger in like a national monument, like National Museum,
Okay.
ama the JKIA. JKIA, they put a pitch. Now that's why we are balancing the need for revenue. Upscaling now JKIA to be an international airport requires probably a lot of investments. And we know the government does not have that money. Like there's no money. We are in debt and the debt is overstretched. That's why they were seeking to privatize, and the airlines that are coming there wakuwa nalipa hizo. You get it? So the government probably will lose in the levies that they collect, but also now be able to offer quality service delivery to people. There's some sense in privatization, and one thing in privatization is that it does not go. For example, privatization of land cannot go over 30 years.
So it can be permanent.
They cannot be permanent.
Okay.
So
basically you lease it.
So for example, let me just give you a nice example. Kenyatta University needs hostels. They can allocate a land to a developer. Ajenge, I collect rent for 30 years. And then after 30 years, I actually your property and nini to the government. It's a win-win situation sometimes, you see. But now, something like KPC. You see, KPC, I'm not sure, because the moment they sell the shares at KPC, it's now permanently owned by the private parties. So there are two ways about it. But you see now this is not land, but you cannot privatize public land for a period exceeding 30 years. Now, why I said it's like a hot cake to me is that they have removed so many regulatory bottlenecks that ensured checks and balances in privatization.
So they'll just buy those companies themselves.
Exactly. So like the
I need to change your two masters. You're fact either way.
Yeah.
the pitch of privatization makes a lot of sense. The Privatization Act and the bottlenecks that have been removed through now the new act is now what people are challenging. Initially, there were
so we just need clarity and proper oversight on what is being privatized and why. Because I'm personally, the reason why I asked airports is because I'm personally against privatizing something like a major airport. Because imagine you made an airport, even a port in Mombasa private. So, which means it's very possible you lose a lot of oversight on what comes in, how things move there. So it's very easy for us to be flagged for narcotics. So, because now you're allowing private citizens. Because if I own this airport, you're not going to screen me for what?
Exactly.
Now let me. Do you know
Bro,
Expressway?
hey, let's
Expressway?
pepper. Me nakwambia. Hey, if I own JKA tomorrow, if you see me in Mexico a lot or Colombia, don't even ask
You're there
too many
You're
questions.
there for the history, the culture.
Of course, especially the culture.
And the dust.
A nice example ni Expressway.
Yeah.
Do you know Expressway is a private road?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We know who. But
Can you make a pitch for Expressway?
So you interpret
Is it
did your first
convenient?
floor.
Is it convenient for you?
like to own it?
Like the services that we wanted through Expressway, as the citizens getting it,
Yeah.
arguably so, right?
So
Yeah.
maybe the expressway I understand because I'd see how, and I still use even the expressway as an example. So it's privately owned, of course. The China, the Kenyatas, whoever owns it owns it. I see why, especially in a country like Kenya, when you need to make certain development projects, and if there's citizens who can actually pay for it, I have no problem.
and maintain it.
Because, once I put my money in it, I know my money is locked there. I'll make sure the services
It's
are up
proper.
to par,
Facts.
So that comes with privatization. So if today the government says they want to expand Nairobi, Nakuru, if the citizens want to do it, I'd prefer
Why
that
not?
as opposed to us going to the World Bank and taking another loan.
Yeah.
Which the government does all the time. I think which is the same thing Jimmy Anjigi was saying. It was like, bruh, building the entire expressway, it was not going to cost Kenyans any money.
Yeah.
Because they found investors who were willing to do
ready.
it.
Put in their own money.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
But the problem is when now the things you're saying, when there's no proper checks and balances, and then it's someone in government awarding themselves that tender
Yeah.
because they're in a position of authority where they can do that. Whether it's through proxies, whether they're the ones sourcing for those companies. So they're basically just profiteers of the whole system in the name of development. That's what I'm against.
And I totally agree with you. And that's why I'm saying, I think this privatization bill was inspired by the Adani effect. And they thought, actually, because some people had even gone to court to challenge it, and it was a very unconstitutional process.
Yeah.
So I think what they're trying to do is remove all those regulatory bottlenecks.
Yeah.
And when we have the influence of the executive in such a deal, we can have a lot of people now cutting deals. You see, we can have a lot of people now doing it for their private gain. And this country has a lot of people who have a penchant for public money.
Yeah. Wait, okay, so now the Adani deal could be the reason why this amendment is being passed now. So that next time they want to do another Adani deal, it's less hectic for them.
It's less hectic. You just need the National Treasury, the Commission to get a Parliament approval.
And that's it.
See, there's a difference between approval and ratification. Initially, in the original act was saying parliamentary ratification. This other one is parliamentary approval.
And the MPs, as long as
it makes
everything will pass. Bro.
boom.
And they will use that as a case study for the new one.
But now, from a government perspective, because I've been looking at the discussions, now this is something that I've been keen on more than now the National Lands Commission. I mean, these are other bills that came about. But for this one, even there have been like very serious public participation discussions because this is not even an amendment. It's just repealing the entire act.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Yeah, it's repealing.
Yeah, they're like, this is too much for us. We need to make it easy for us to
The
get
entire
another
act is
deal.
going away, and we have a new privatization now, Act 2025. And if once it's law, we are going to have a lot of people. Let me just give you a case scenario. Pro-government now. It was very difficult for an entity like, let's say, Kenya Utalii College to build hostels in Kenya Utalii College to cater for its needs because of the regulatory bottlenecks were too much and the bureaucracy was a lot that by the time the process is done, it takes years.
Yeah.
So to shorten the process, they ended up shortening the process, the checks and balances. So it's you can argue if at all we have a noble government of which we don't have, you could argue it makes things more efficient. But that efficiency comes with a cost to now the absence of proper checks that were initially in the original act. So it's still,
Yeah, those
Okay.
honestly, I think in any form of government, even as much as ours is as problematic, even if it was less problematic, checks and balances are
It's
still
important.
necessary.
Yeah.
So, because anytime they sort of take away these checks and balances or they make it easier for themselves, there has to be an underlying ill intention.
True.
To be very honest. Because sababu, okay, even if it was, why was it problematic? If there's proper checks and balances, the only reason why it can be problematic is because someone is not doing their job. Someone somewhere is just making it ambiguous for no reason.
And why? But see, I'm in service delivery. Myself, I'm a consultant. I'm a tax consultant. I'm a regulatory lawyer, and sometimes I get to deal with regulatory agencies. Almost every day. A client who needs something like an immigration permit, like a work permit, I go to these agencies to make sure that they get it. And my interactions with government agencies, is there's usually very little or no motivation to act. You get it? And that's where the bottlenecks are. For example, if you want service from the government, you are going to suffer. True. Specifically if you're in Kenya and if you don't have money to facilitate these people to actually do this and this and this.
hongo.
Hongo. The facilitation. And you're going to suffer. And as a matter of fact, it affects now professionals. Because, let me just give you a scenario. I call myself a tax consultant and I can do things by the book. I want to do things right by the book. Right? But I know there's a wheeler dealer somewhere mwenye atakuja kuambie, hey, unaitisha pesa ngapi na KRA? 50 million. Leta 5 million, alafu utalipa tax ya 5 million na hii kesi ishe. There's some fellas who do that. And they actually give, the client wants results. Ataki ati stories at I did things right by the book. If someone wants a work permit, I know there's a guy who can get you a work permit within a week. And there's someone who will probably struggle 2 months doing things right by the book, not about a work permit. You get it? So what I mean by regulatory bottlenecks, inefficiency in government, including things like this, you see, even when you're a government agency and you want some other government agency to assist you and you are CEO of this parastatal, you have to look for someone who can umpeka kitu. And you two are within the government. Like you have to be friends, like you have to know someone. And I was actually telling another friend of mine that like knowing a guy, yani I know a guy is a currency in Kenya.
Literally.
When you know a guy person, you can survive in this country vizuri sana.
Hata favors are currency nowadays.
So, now, in the larger scheme now, from a privatization perspective, those bottlenecks, you could have a very serious pitch by a parastatal or some government agency that wants to maybe privatize part of its land or do something. But the processes, including ratification, your parliament, having this discussed, you have probably to see even some MPs to give them something.
Of course.
And those MPs, we know they are very cheap. So those are the issues. And you can now argue it from both sides. Trade-off, balance and checks for efficiency.
I usually find it hilarious when they break down the hongo for you. Yangu hapa ni 2,000. Mkubwa yake ni 5. Head office wataitisha 10.
Wakuprint sijui ni 4. Like what do you mean?
Alafu bado within the hongo kuna contingency. 10k to anything can happen. I'm literally paying you this so that anything can't happen.
Do you know even to process a bond for a client? See, now let's say you have been arrested for an offense and nimeenda and I've argued bail. I'm a bond for you. Before I process that bond na ikuwe approved, if I don't have proper money, uta suffer. My client will suffer.
So judge amekuandikia 1 million lakini unaenda na 1.5.
I've had a client suffer. Unajua, I was like, when I fired my employer in December and started now my practice, I started taking all matters of cases and there's a tax client who ended up becoming...
You fired my employer. When I resigned.
It's a fancy way of saying it. But when I fired my employer and started private practice, there's a client of mine alipewa bond. Alikuwa na a criminal case ya obtaining. Akapewa bond ya 3 million. Before ni process your bond ya gari. Every stage I went to the police, nini kakitu. By the time I was processing the bond, nilikuwa nimelipa
bond.
Now I'm gonna create the bonds too.
Like things are funny because atakuja kuambia sasa na ukikataa your file itakaa hapo. You get it? Na ifanye polepole. Your client is suffering in jail. So imagine now a professional mwenye anajiita a very serious lawyer because you believe you're a serious lawyer. But all that profession, all that school all that education is reduced to how well you can speak in those corridors. That's why nasema even our professionals, from a consultant's perspective, professionals in Kenya, their professionalism imeshuka sana. You could argue that. You could even write a thesis about it.
Damn.
Like every time I've reported a case to the police, naitishangwa pesa.
Aha.
Na nimekuja na shida, nimeibiwa simu.
Hata Murkomen alisema polisi akipitisha 2,000 ya kuweka mafuta, we pay taxes, mbona uweke mafuta? Okay, like can move on.
Anyway.
We are digressing.
So, the other ones that maybe I'm going to read the other ones that we haven't covered. Let me know if there's one that is of interest. So there's the Land Amendment Bill 2024. A National Land Commission Amendment Bill. Okay, so this is just the commission, which we discussed, and then this is a land. Then there's...
The Land Amendment Bill is actually also arguably controversial kwa sababu, imagine, land tenure in Kenya for private citizens is either leasehold or freehold. So land tenure, you can say there's community land, there's public land, and there's private land. Private land is further divided into two, leasehold and freehold. So what this specific bill, or could argue act, is saying is that they can now convert your freehold land to a leasehold land.
Why?
Na sasa uanze kulipa land rates.
Why?
It's also a way for maybe getting more revenue.
Yeah.
Actually, I looked at all these acts, and nikaona it all boils down to a revenue issue by the government.
Yeah.
But again, do we really have a revenue collection issue, or it's a revenue misuse issue?
Yeah, we
Genuinely.
we have had lengthy discussions around
I
that.
know.
It's how
It's
to
misuse.
optimally use money.
Bruh. Okay, Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill.
Equally.
This is what we're talking about when we're mentioning the parks.
Yeah, parks. Equally pia ni increasing revenues hapa na pale, and it's all about revenue mobilization
collection.
for government.
Okay.
It's neither here nor there, because it's inasema ku increase park fees and whatnot. So it's
Which, wait, they increased park fees
Already.
Already.
Yote ilikuwa increased ama ilikuwa waliji.
Yeah, hata
Because
si
increase
increase.
ingekuwa 300 iko 350, that's an increase.
Yeah.
But 300 to 3,000
Hiyo ilikuwa tu
madness.
story.
that's an introduction of a new fees.
Then there's the National Police Service Commission Amendment Bill, amends affecting the Police Service Commission. And then there's the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill of 2025, changes to air passenger levy,
charges.
I saw that
Charge
600
regime.
for locals,
and
$50 for
That's
international travel.
anytime you fly.
Yeah, you pay.
Still a revenue mobilization.
If you
issue.
fly internationally, $50, and then locally it's at 600.
Fixed,
Virtual
regardless.
Asset
Hey.
Service Providers Bill 2025.
Cryptocurrencies, it's more so like regulating cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, the one that
Okay.
But
The whole point of
that
crypto
is
is-
good. That is actually, let me just tell you, FATF wanaitwaje wao financial something when walikuwa wamegrelist Kenya. When you check Financial Action Task Force, it's a global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog that list countries in line with.
I think I saw Kenya was part of the
Kenya
list.
was almost blacklisted. Ilikuwa huko chini kabisa because of how our anti-money laundering laws, not implementation, but checks and the amount of there's a word, proliferation, ama ni nini, how that money can come in and outside Kenya quickly. So, and the easiest way for fraudsters nowadays to actually, and it was actually listed by FATF that the way they are doing it is converting into crypto, because crypto is not traceable.
Yeah.
So what the government is more so like doing, and which is a good thing, I would argue so, because our watu wa wash yenye si uona nini, obviously they bring a bad name to actually they affect our lives in the larger scheme of things. And and there's a lot of, including politicians themselves and whatnot, the reason Kenya was grey listed is because of how our checks when it comes to money coming in and out of the country are very poor. And one of them was cryptocurrency or digital assets, because when you buy digital assets and there's blockchain, it's not traceable. So the government is doing is more so like bringing this specific bill to, or act to, more so like regulate the digital asset space to actually have some sort of traceability. So ili
So how will
maybe
that go?
I'm
Like you'd
curious
have
to see
to
how that-
prove
yeah.
why you converted. Like basically, they just need a paper trail.
no, the providers. You go to the providers rather than
Okay, so now if I okay to the providers.
the providers ndio wanafaa kuregister now things like Binance.
Binance, okay.
So
then they'll be
and
able
they are
to-
supposed to follow some specific rules
Okay.
to flag when you get it.
When they notice everything and stuff like that. Okay.
Probably in collaboration with the FRC. We have FRC, which is the Financial Reporting Center ya Kenya, and yenye iko CBK, and to actually regulate now how those assets flow. Because digital assets are not a currency. I think there's a lot of writing on why digital assets are not currency. Like even CBK itself said cryptocurrency is not currency because it's not backed by a CBK. It's not subject to the rules, the monetary policies and whatnot. And because of that, if a country allows a lot of that to happen, it means it's letting go its monetary controls, the inflation and whatnot. So because of that, the government is more seeking to regulate that through now this bill.
I'm curious. So these policies they'll introduce, is it like the way now I can't walk into a bank and withdraw $1 million without...
That's in the POCAM inaitwa Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act.
Would that be across the board or if you're flagged?
So if you're transacting any money, I don't know kama they increased, but it was $1 million. Iliyo time ilikuwa 10,000 USD. But saizi I think wameenda to probably 1.5 million. I'm not sure because when Ruto came in, he sought to, I think there were some talks about increasing
They actually did
from 1
increase.
million to 1.5 million. I'm not sure if it was done because there's a time my money was flagged. There's a time I received a payment and it was immediately flagged and I had to explain to the bank. So what happens is if you receive such money, either you are transmitting money outside Kenya or receiving money inside Kenya, you have to provide reasons,
documentation.
provide documentation. It's part of the overall anti-money laundering checks.
Okay.
That documentation, what do they usually mean? Like you have to show an invoice?
So for me, I just provided the consultancy agreement between myself and the client, and you don't have to provide deliverables because now you're providing confidential information.
Yeah.
So that's proof that this payment
It's from
for
it's
something
legit.
specific.
legit. If you bought land or if you sold land, there are those documents in relation
But
to
which
purchase
means
and
also it's easily forgeable.
Yeah, they're easily forgeable.
But at least you know it's easy also to trail it.
Okay.
Basically, you can forge, but if it goes to court now, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've had a client mwenye amefriziwa around 14 million.
Unaweza introduce. Anafanya kazi gani?
That's as ambiguous as it goes. Inaishia hapo.
Ako na mtu.
Someone and you have
Unajua wale kani mwanaume.
Sijali, ako na mtu.
and you have to file now cases in court. You have to go to the wanaitanga aje BFID, Banking Fraud Investigations Department. There's a lot that goes in when in terms with circulation of money.
14 million were ready to suck on.
Hey,
From the tisi watatu.
Yeah, the money is frozen na unakaa hapo.
Yeah, tutapanga line.
And uki if that money you are unable to unfreeze it, inaenda kwa wanaitanga aje ACL, unclaimed assets.
Unclaimed assets.
nini. And you lose that money entirely na inaenda kwa
you
gava.
must claim it.
You must claim it.
Ndio maana mtu tumia kila pesa na miaka. You can't
Spend all the money you make.
You can't freeze my 14K. Please. Wacha ninunue kiatu.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I think that's pretty much all
That's pretty much
the
most of it.
bills.
So I'd say then, once the gazettement is done, maybe we
Hopefully
can
this
check
week, yeah.
versus what we
What-
discussed
yeah.
on the drafts. Then if you need to make clarifications, we can make a clarification.
We can always actually, you can call me
Yeah.
if there are any clarifications that you want me to make because
Yeah.
I'll also do further research.
Okay.
I'll be in a position to clarify. I will actually, personally, I will write about the cyber crimes.
Okay.
I'll do a piece about it.
Okay.
Because
Itakuwa page ngapi?
22, see me.
Nah.
You summarize it to 28
Yeah, not too many pages, just 20.
Just wait.
do you know if you want to publish something in the newspaper, ikipita ni 800 words, they
Forget.
don't publish. So if you want to do a serious leadership article, you have
Yeah.
to limit
Within 800 words.
800 words.
Damn.
Ili ikue published.
Nimesikia ukisoma sijui paragraph J, paragraph JA. Niko like, hey. Paragraph iko na baby paragraph.
So what happens when you do an amendment? So let's say the original act ilikuwa na so in a bill zinaitwa paragraphs ama clauses. In an act zinaitwa sections. In the constitution zinaitwa articles. So when a bill, an act of parliament has sections, now those sections have subsections. Section, unaelewa? So let's say ni section 1A, section 1B, 1C.
Alafu bado kuna 1A. Roman numeral 1.
So iko na hiyo Roman 1. So if you have 1A, 1B, 1C and an amendment is being introduced, si itakuwa now
1A, Roman
1D. Itakuwa introduced as 1D ama na kama ni kuna hata zingine zinakuanga capital A ama well hizo ni legislative drafting. It's also a course in itself.
But that makes sense. So you can always track back. Like it's easy to follow.
Easier.
It's easier to follow. Yeah.
That's actually what we do with the. Do you know Finance Act is not an act? Like arguably, ukisema Finance Act, it's an act that amends so many other acts. So utapata Finance Act ime amend the Income Tax Act. Finance Act ime amend the VAT Act. So at the end of the day, you will not go 2 years ago to look at the Finance Act 2023. You'll just go to look at what the VAT Act says as of 2024. Because that amendment, Kenya Law Reports already, the moment it's gazetted, Kenya Law Reports will update it on the system in their now the website. So
I can't believe I almost did law.
It would have been easier for you now.
Do you know someone who was not driven a car? Anashanganga how you are able to maneuver in town and all those things. The moment you start doing law, you've been doing it for myself probably 10 years now, and it becomes like music. Because now you interact with it today, tomorrow, it becomes easier.
Now before we end, tulikuwa to discuss dress code za kotini.
So si tulisema tu kama lawyer amevaa kiatu yenye imeisha soul side moja.
Life sentence. Unakufa leo.
Wewe kwanza unaikwa life sentence hii life and your next life.
Zile unasikianga 25 life sentences in 900 years. Your honor.
Let's be serious.
Sawa.
Kill me. You any bad.
Reincarnated as a fly, una live 28 days in prison.
Wacha ikae.
But if you are a lawyer, your lawyer is dressed the way you are. Hata nikiingia court na smile. Hata kama nimeoa mtu naingia na smile.
Hata kama kuna vitu.
Hivi.
Well, kuna advocates dress code. Your LSK advocates dress code. You asked kama you can do it, you can go to court with that attire as a man. No. It's against the code. Actually, the court will not give you audience.
Oh, wow.
I've appeared in a high court without a jacket, and the judge akaniambia I'm not properly dressed.
It has to be a blazer ama anaweza kuja na zile jacket zangu.
Like a proper jacket.
College jacket.
Sweater vest. No.
You cannot wear a sweater.
So a necktie is compulsory?
Yeah,
a blazer is compulsory?
It's compulsory.
Even on Fridays?
Some courts are flexible. Like magistrate courts na nini, they are flexible. Kama you have a shirt and a tie. But hapo high court now, things
lazima.
Na if I wear jeans and a blazer and...
Not, you cannot...
Jeans?
Unaweza vaa jeans kwa nyumba kani vachu. As long as you show.
What about
you can be naked
those things that I hate? What are they called? The suits zenye zinakuanga short sleeve.
No, kaunda suits. You cannot. You cannot wear kaunda suits.
Did you see that politician who wore a kaunda suit alafu shirt in a long sleeve?
Wait, and can you wear thingy?
Short sleeve.
For a lady, probably yeah. You can wear what you won't wear is a dress that is above the knee.
For real. Sasa kuonyesha magoti inaweza fanya mtu
this
is happen.
Hata unaambia your honor hata
Your honor.
Also kama you are a lawyer, so you just wear expensively. Wear a nice suit.
And for ladies, bodycons, can you wear a bodycon?
What is that?
What's a bodycon?
Ngweme.
Cows. But well, as long as not so well, unajua pia ni like the rules are there, but it's on the discretion. Kama umevaa hivyo na probably judge amekulike, so si hata allow tu because he's enjoying.
Sasa Ruth Odinga vai nini?
Yenyewe.
You know the funniest thing I saw online juzi ati mavuli yake ni zile za nduthi.
Mwavuli yake.
Hata siwezi
Juu lazima
cheka.
funike matako.
It's funny.
I wasn't supposed to laugh, but I was just scrolling along.
I won't even laugh.
Is it offensive, Mama?
No, apparently, I just discovered apparently it's a condition.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. Yeah.
Are you serious?
It's called steer something.
Something.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't
there's
know.
an accumulation of fat, but it could be in the thighs, could be in the butt, but it's actually a condition.
But it's a good
Oh my
condition.
goodness. Okay.
No, it's not.
I take back my laughter. Me, I thought
It's not a good condition.
Amebeba tu migingo.
Again, I'm not going to hell with you. I am not
I wasn't
going to hell
I wasn't
with you.
supposed to laugh. I was just scrolling, and then I see it was just took photos, huh? And then yo Mavuli and do
Yeah, do this.
But then I didn't make the connection. Then I scrolled 4 more tweets. I was like,
Yeah,
Shit, okay, if it's a
apparently.
medical condition,
Well,
I
I cannot really
genuinely,
shame someone,
I apologize. I take back my,
Well,
okay, not my
cannot
laughter.
fault me
'cause
for
I laugh.
laughing, yeah?
Laughter is good for the soul, but I take back my jokes.
yeah, insensitivity.
Me usema jokes hazinanga any moral compass. Make a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jokes
Jokes,
tu.
yeah.
Mimi nasemanga
Because our say pia watakwambia we want to be normalized. Si ndio eti we don't
true.
feel sick.
Included.
Sasa inamaanisha basi
Kama zile
okay,
jokes za midgets.
I return my I take it back.
Mi nasema I like zile jokes za midgets. Have you seen those?
I love them.
I love them.
Hata mimi I love
Actually,
them. It's
midgets
funny.
participate in them. They are funny, so to me ni funny.
Eh, kuna-
Same. Mimi kama ni funny
there's a
kwa
comedian-
pole. Hata kama it's about me, when it's funny it's just funny, bro.
There's a comedian called Matt Rife. He makes fun of
Yeah,
very
I like
inclusive-
Matt Rife.
Remember there's a time someone was in a wheelchair at the front audience.
I think I know him.
He does crowd work and that's what he posts
And then I
online.
think
Yeah.
that person didn't have a voice box, so they were putting like something here and then they speak like a robot. And then so akamwambia roast me, akamfanya tu hivi.
Yeah. Jokes hazinanga sensitivity. If you bring morality to humor, humor loses
you're
its
taking
soul.
away.
I usually
Yeah.
hate it when the person who is in that condition is okay with it, alafu kuna mtoto wako, it's unfair.
Ushaona stand-up
Dave.
Sitacheka.
stand-up comedy za 1990 venye zilikuwa insensitive.
Very.
Sana.
I think people also
And
grew
that-
to
and
be
that's
very
the-
sensitive.
Nah, that's when humor was at its peak. Kusema
Yeah, we
ukweli.
need, that's why I'm always be on Dave Chappelle's side, bro.
I'm also
Like
on
we
the
should
side
not,
of humor.
we can't start it sasa nini amending bills za comedy.
That's humor act. Ngojeni.
Humor Act 2025. What the
Unajua
fuck?
hakuna mtu amekuforce uende hapo. Wewe ulinunua ticket, unanijua mimi uonge ujinga. Alafu unakuja hapo kusema
Humor act.
Bruh.
sika
Ngojeni.
nyumbani.
It's
Yeah.
free speech is free speech. Means
True.
actually champions like when you are championing for your freedom of expression is like one of the most sacred. I don't she's like give me freedom or give me death. Ile akina Che Guevara libertado muerte. It means like you have a right to actually exercise your freedom to the extent in it does
you
not
want, yeah.
Yes, I fully support
making
that.
someone annoyed is not does
Yeah.
not like
It's not illegal.
is not like violation of any rights.
Yeah.
It's making people offended. So feel free to say what you want to say.
Chande sana.
Ken, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime, man.
Actually, we'll do this. So when the gazettement comes in, that's fine. If there's anything we haven't covered or something you'd need clarity on, let us know in the comment sections.
Yeah.
So that when it's gazetted and we need to clarify some things, we can have part of the feedback
Yeah.
as so we can
sense.
address that.
Yeah, no one has a monopoly of knowledge. Like I may be wrong in some things, I may be right. I'm just saying what I saw. So sometimes if further knowledge comes my way, I'll be happy to clarify in the comments.
Oh, quick
Thank
last
you.
question I forgot to ask. How many degrees of murder are there?
In Kenya, it's just manslaughter. In states, kuna first degree murder, second degree murder. But in Kenya, it's just manslaughter and murder. And murder is actually very difficult to prove, because it has to have your malice aforethought. Like you have to have been.
Nilikuwa nataka kuwa
Premeditated.
Lazima kuna
Premeditated,
motive
yeah.
na nini, yeah. But
So if you fail, ukikosa
kama ile ya Joey, you saw what happened with Joey. They went to the details of how the motive was money. The nin and you get it. So at the end of the day, you can get a good conviction.
Interesting.
Is Joey in prison bado? Give us
Jamaa alipotelea huko tu yani.
inside
Ako
information.
for real?
I'm not sure, but
Hivyo ndo tunajua.
As far as we
Tuseme
know.
allegedly.
Allegedly. But umse ako ndani, then you can mess your life haraka sana. Give it a thought.
You do you think he still took the fall? Ama he actually did it?
I'm convinced.
I honestly don't like commenting on things that I don't have knowledge. Yani, you know, there are so many conspiracy theories and whatnot. You cannot ascertain. Yani, inaweza kuwa he actually did it. Like, everything points to that he did it. Unaona? Ingine inaweza kuwa he took a fall. But personally, I cannot take such a huge fall.
Same. Ni nini unanipatia hivyo? Like unless unaniambia after 10 years now I'll be the government when I come back.
That was a crazy fall.
Yeah.
Hi man, cheers.
Thank you so much,
man.
Ken. Appreciate you, man.
The short notice, man.
I know, but yeah, that's why I'm like
You
very,
did dating.
very
Bless
grateful, bro.
you.
Appreciate that,
Sawa,
man.
man.
I am.
Namna grow.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
Keep it up, man.
Unakaa vizuri.
Yeah, nimegrow pia.
Congrats, man. Man, anyway, Ken, members only episode 14. We are.
Mic check.
Juzi ametunyima.
Now that we are done, sasa jurisprudence ni juu inatumikanga kwa hii podcast lakini hatujuangi.
Tunaitanga jurisprudence.
Jurisprudence
What is
ni
the
sema to the philosophy of law. Yani the rationale na nini behind a specific thinking.
Gotcha.
Over 26.
This is
The Burger Podcast.
This is the Brunch Club. Over 26.
Welcome back to
The mics are closed.
Now, when you watch it, you'll understand.